Hey everybody, welcome back. If you're new here and you like what you see, make sure to subscribe. You can hit the bell notification to be notified whenever we have a new video coming out. We have some great classic movie merchandise below. And now let's go see the greatest guy in the world. The one and only Steve Hayes, the tired old queen at the movies. Come on.
Oh, Johnny, come on. Johnny, we hadn't done a film noir in a while, and you know I love them. So I decided to do 1947's Crossfire, directed by Edward Dmytrick and starring Robert Mitchum, Robert Ryan, Robert Young, Gloria, Grahame, Sam Levine. This is an interesting film because it combines not only film noir, but with the message movies from the late 1940s. It deals with the murder of a Jewish man by 3 soldiers on leave in New Orleans one night. Originally, it was taken from a novel by Richard Brooks, who later won an Oscar for his screenplay for Elmer Gantry, and as a director, directed such films as Looking for Mr. Goodbar, Sweet Bird of Youth, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, Blackboard Jungle. The murdered man in the novel version of The Brick's Foxhole was a homosexual. And the novel was a hit, but when RKO bought it, they said, the censor said, absolutely not. There can be no mention of homosexuality whatsoever. So they turned it to a Jewish man and decided to make a film about anti-Semitism.
You know the kind. I'm not sure that I do. Just what kind? Oh, you know. Some of them are named Samuels.
Robert Ryan, who was one of the most liberal and wonderful actors in Hollywood at the time, plays this character, Montgomery, who's just this seething bigot. He was in the service with Richard Brooks when Brooks wrote the novel and said to Brooks, if they ever make this in a movie, I want this part. And as it turned out, he got it. He also got an Academy Award nomination for this performance.
What'd you have to go after the guy for? Crime any money? Why'd you have to start an argument?
No Jew is gonna tell me how to drink his stinking liquor.
4 GIs are having drinks together at this bar. One of them is really, really, really lonely and very homesick. It's right after the war. This movie has a lot to do with displacement of servicemen after the war and how they had come from all this battle. They had battle fatigue, they had post-traumatic stress, and they didn't know how to deal with it. So this nice Jewish man goes over and starts a conversation with this GI and says, why don't you come up to my apartment? This is a crazy time in everybody's life. Everybody's lives have been changed irrevocably. Come up and we'll talk. So they go up and talk. Well, while they're talking, there's a knock on the door, and he goes and he opens up the door, and the other 2 guys come into the apartment.
Hi, it's Sammy. We come to the party.
The GI who's feeling really sick and homesick is too drunk, and he leaves the apartment. And the Jewish man ends up dead. Now, Robert Young comes to the scene of the crime. He's the detective. And he pulls in some friends of this man because they can't find the GI who left. And the way things are, his wallet was found near the body, and he's the one who's implicated in the murder. And so his best friend and roommate is Robert Mitchum. And Robert Mitchum's character is really interesting because he's the level-headed one of them all. He sort of has that raw expression that Mitchum always has.
I haven't seen my wife for 2 years. When I do, maybe we'll pick up again. I don't know, maybe we won't. But I don't worry about it now. Mitchell isn't like that.
He knows that his roommate did not commit this murder, and he knows who did commit the murder. But he's going to make Robert Young try to figure it out for himself. And Robert Young finally looks at him and says, you know who did this, didn't you? And Robert Mitchum said, yeah, I could have told you a long time ago. It's Montgomery, Robert Ryan.
I should have known right away, I guess. But the motive was so simple, so general, that it slipped through the machinery.
Now the thing they have to figure out where the poor GI is who missed his wife is, and where is Montgomery. The only other character that was with Montgomery, Robert Ryan, is this guy Floyd, played by Steve Brody. And he's a talker. And Montgomery knows that. Montgomery has him stashed in a hotel. And he goes over and he gets really sadistic with Brody.
You just went crazy.
I didn't do nothing to Samuels either. Except I flicked him. Like that. Not that hard, maybe.
Stop it,
like
money!
that.
Stop money!
Like that.
And when the police finally figure out where Brody is and they go there, Brody's dead and he's hanging from his own necktie. So Montgomery has killed him too. And yet they can't prove it on him yet. Well, Robert Mitchum has hid this poor soldier, the one that they're accused of, up in this movie theater. And the soldier begins to tell him, he says, what do you remember when you left Levine's apartment? What do you remember?
I remember a street sign. I couldn't read it.
And he says, well, I was lonely and I went to a bar and I met a girl. He says, you met a girl? Who was the girl? He goes, her name was...
This Jenny.
Could we just go dancing?
What's the idea of saying a thing like that?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to insult you.
Well, she takes pity on him and she goes,
Would you like me to make you some spaghetti?
Sure.
I live at the Regal Apartments in Southern Street. You could wait for me.
so the cops go to her apartment and she's there and she's very defensive and she goes, what's the matter with me? Why can't I make somebody spaghetti? Why can't I talk to somebody? What does that make me, a tramp or something? What's the matter with you? And they bring his wife in.
I wouldn't be able to remember. You'd remember Mitch. Why? Does he have two heads or something?
You danced with him. Oh, you danced with him out in back of where you work in a sort of garden.
She's absolutely wonderful and she got an Oscar nomination for this, and Gloria Grahame always said this was her favorite role. The suspense really builds because they've got to trap Robert Ryan and he may leave town. He's a GI on the run. Well, there was this other GI that was with them at the bar who was a Southern boy, really innocent Southern boy played by William Phipps. His name's Leroy. Robert Young calls him into his office, Leroy into his office, and sits down and says,
He calls you a hillbilly, doesn't he? Says you're dumb. He laughs at you because you're from Tennessee. Ignorant men always laugh at things that are different.
Leroy, you can help me catch Montgomery. You can help me, but you gotta have courage. You can't be afraid. Well, I don't know if I can do it. He's gonna know I'm telling a lie. He's gonna know. He won't know. I'm gonna tell you exactly what to say. Leroy goes back to the barracks and Montgomery's in the bathroom shaving, and he takes his shaving gear and goes in, and this scene develops between the two of them in which Leroy plants the idea that he hasn't really killed Brody back in that room and that Brody's still alive and is gonna squeal on him to the police.
You said you'd give him some money to go away. I must have left it in my room.
Let's go see if we can find it, Leroy.
And you go, he's gonna kill him, he's gonna kill him, he's gonna kill him. And the suspense just mounts. And I'm not gonna tell you how it works out. But it was a controversial hit when it opened. And because Dmytrick said, I didn't really want to shoot a film noir, I basically usually, the great amount of money went to the lighting of films and the technical aspects of film and none to the actors. He said, but I was an actor's director, so I said, instead, I want the greater amount of money to go to the actors because their performances are everything, and let's just shoot it with as little lighting as possible, not knowing that it was going to turn out to be a classic noir. And the mood is fantastic. Every character is on the money. They're doing the best work at the top of their game. Crossfire opened because it was shot so fast. Crossfire managed to open before the big anti-Semitic hit of the year, which was Gentleman's Agreement, which ended up, taking all the Oscars. Crossfire was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, including Best Director, Best Picture, Best Supporting Actor for Robert Ryan, Best Supporting Actress for Gloria Grahame. But just as the Oscars were approaching, Dmytrick was accused of being one of the Hollywood 10. And was called before the House of Un-American Activities along with the producer of Crossfire, and they always figured that was the reason Crossfire didn't win more. Crossfire is actually a better movie on the subject than Gentleman's Agreement. It's more gutsy. It really gets to the root of the problem in a lot more realistic way. And Dmytrick later became a friend because his career was ruined and he went to prison and he was scared. He got out and he named names. He became a friendly witness. And he regained his career in Hollywood, but it tainted the whole rest of his career. This movie is gritty. It's got a pace and a style. And these actors, as I said, are right at the very, very peak of what they could do. And I think you're going to be fascinated by Robert Ryan, Robert Mitchum, Robert Young, Gloria Grahame, Paul Kelly, Sam Levine, Steve Brody, and Edward Dmytrick's classic, Crossfire.
Let's all go to the lobby.
No, but I've got to talk about them because their characters are important. They were small actors, but they had great parts.